Hi, I'm Kathleen Higgins in the philosophy department, and I work on the philosophy of art and aesthetics. And one of the themes that I've been working on lately is the way in which aesthetics and art-like behaviors, and sometimes actual art, are used in the context of dealing with loss. One of the things that struck me as quite interesting when I got into this topic is the way in which stone is used in memorializing deceased people in lots and lots of contexts. Even Newgrange in Ireland, a very old site that has Neolithic carvings on it, seems to have been a tomb, and there is a stone erected in front of it. And indeed, many stones were added later. Why is it that stone strikes people as so useful for this purpose? Well, one reason, of course, is that it's a material that's available anywhere. So it maybe isn't surprising that people use it in lots of places in the world. But it's still striking that so many early buildings and structures somehow have to do with tombs or memorializing. One of the things that strikes me as important about stone, or about its capacity for us to use, is the fact that it's protective or sheltering. And I think there's a symbolic sheltering of the dead, sometimes actually a literal sheltering of the dead, that stone is used for. So stone can actually protect the remains of a human being who's died from the elements, from wild animals in earlier contexts. And that's probably one source of this tendency. But there are quite a few other symbolisms that maybe suggest themselves through the use of stone. For example, the fact that stone is permanent. Often what people want to do is memorialize the human being as somebody who is permanently in our affections and concern, that we, in some sense, in the face of death, are saying, no, this person is still a member of our community and someone that we value. Stone is also something that is very difficult for human beings to move if it's of any size and weight at all. And I think that's also a gesture that is involved in many of the uses of stone for these purposes. So for example, there's a sense that moving a stone is a very difficult thing, and yet we move a stone to a place that we want to dedicate to honoring certain deceased individuals, or perhaps a particular deceased individual. I think that's a gesture of showing that we're sparing no effort in our attempt to memorialize the person. Also, the fact that stone can be in our way when we're trying to navigate in the world. It's heavy, often not porous, often difficult to climb. In a sense, it's what marks our landscape. And I think what we try to do with stone when we use it to memorialize people is point out that something really important that ought to impress itself on our attention has happened. Namely, the world has lost someone that the world should be aware of and should be aware of their own loss in this connection. Finally, we can use stone in order to literally communicate by writing on stone, or to make art that somehow draws attention to people. Sometimes can even be used as a kind of vicarious presence of the deceased, in the case where there's actually a sculpture erected. So stone is actually not only human beings' perhaps earliest technology, but something that still serves really important psychological purposes for us today when we're attempting to mourn the dead.